Welcome back from that cliffhanger of a first part.
Definitely a nail biter. I know you're itching to find out why Mrs. Bennet hates Darcy.
Right.
Trust me, it's a doozy.
It's big.
I think I'd be a little bit resentful of him as well.
I know.
Right?
I honestly would not be cool with someone saying stuff about me.
Definitely not. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and by we, I do actually mean the two of us.
Yeah, I'm in the we this time.
Yeah, so it's not the royal we. I've moved on.
We had some good therapy talk.
We did. We had P&T.
P&T.
Which apparently is going to be a thing now.
It should be a big old tea party. I'll feature it on my podcast.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Oh, let's talk about your podcast
for
a second.
Sure.
What exactly is your podcast?
Okay, well, it's called In Too Steep. I sit down with busy comedians from all around New York and hopefully outside the city.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we sit and drink tea and color in illustrations submitted by artists and illustrators from around the country.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. Listeners can download the art every week and color along with us. And you can download the podcast every Wednesday. Download the picture at intoosteep.tumblr.com.
There you go. And before or after you listen to Claire's podcast, which is launching soon, definitely check out the second half of the episode because we've left you on a cliffhanger.
I'm so sorry we left you on that cliffhanger.
We had to build the anticipation.
We did.
We couldn't.
We felt real bad about it.
No, we didn't. Well, maybe you did. I didn't, because it's such exciting stuff! So, in the second half, we actually get to hear Bingley! Bingley and Darcy
Whatever
talking.
his name is.
My name is Janine Hegarty, and this is...
Claire A.U.
And this is...
P&P, The Real Story.
Episode 3, Part 2, Meryton Assembly.
Oh, shoot!
Ooh.
Elizabeth Bennet had been obliged, by the scarcity of gentlemen, to sit down for 2 dances, and during part of that time Mr. Darcy had been standing near enough for her to overhear a conversation between him and Mr. Bingley, who came from the dance for a few minutes, to press his friend to join it. "Come, Darcy," said he, "I must have you dance. I hate to see you standing about by yourself in this stupid manner. You had much better dance." "I certainly shall not. You know how I detest it, unless I am particularly acquainted with my partner. At such an assembly as this, it would be insupportable. Your sisters are engaged, and there is not another woman in the room whom it would not be a punishment to me to stand up with." "I would not be so fastidious as you are," cried Bingley, "for a kingdom. Upon my honour, I have never met with so many pleasant girls in my life as I have this evening, and there are several of them, you see, uncommonly pretty." "You are dancing with the only handsome girl in the room," said Mr. Darcy, looking at the eldest Miss Bennet. "Oh, she is the most beautiful creature I ever beheld. But there is one of her sisters sitting down just behind you, who is very pretty, and I dare say very agreeable. Do let me ask my partner to introduce you." "What do you mean?" And turning round, he looked for a moment at Elizabeth, till catching her eye, he withdrew his own and coldly said, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me, and I am in no humour at present to give consequence to young ladies who are slighted by other men. You had better return to your partner and enjoy her smiles, for you are wasting your time with me." Mr. Bingley followed his advice. Mr. Darcy walked off, and Elizabeth remained with no very cordial feelings towards him. She told the story, however, with great spirit among her friends, for she had a lively and playful disposition, which delighted in anything ridiculous. The evening altogether passed off pleasantly to the whole family. Mrs. Bennet had seen her eldest daughter much admired by the Netherfield party. Mr. Bingley had danced with her twice, and she had been distinguished by his sisters. Jane was as much gratified by this as her mother could be, though in a quieter way. Elizabeth felt Jane's pleasure. Mary had heard herself mentioned to Miss Bingley as the most accomplished girl in the neighbourhood, and Catherine and Lydia had been fortunate enough to be never without partners, which was all that they had yet learned to care for at a ball. They returned, therefore, in good spirits to Longbourn. the village where they lived, and of which they were the principal inhabitants. They found Mr. Bennet still up. With a book he was regardless of time, and, on the present occasion, he had a good deal of curiosity as to the event of an evening which had raised such splendid expectations. He had rather hoped that all his wife's views on the stranger would be disappointed, but he soon found that he had a very different story to hear. "Oh, my dear Mr. Bennet," as she entered the room, "we have had a most delightful evening, a most excellent ball. I wish you had been there. Jane was so admired, nothing could be like it. Everybody said how well she looked, and Mr. Bingley thought her quite beautiful, and danced with her twice. Only think of that, my dear. He actually danced with her twice, and she was the only creature in the room that he asked a second time. First of all, he asked Miss Lucas. I was so vexed to see him stand up with her, but, however, he did not admire her at all. Indeed, nobody can, you know. And he seemed quite struck with Jane as she was going down the dance. So he inquired who she was, and got introduced, and asked her for the two next. Then the 2/3 he danced with Miss King, and the 2/4 with Maria Lucas, and the 2/5 with Jane again, and the 2/6 with Lizzie, and the Boulanger. If he had any compassion for me, cried her husband impatiently, he would not have danced half so much. For God's sake, say no more of his partners. Oh, that he had sprained his ankle in the first dance. Oh, my dear, continued Mrs. Bennet, I am quite delighted with him. He is so excessively handsome, and his sisters are charming women. I never in my life saw anything more elegant than their dresses. I dare say the lace upon Mrs. Hurst's gown. Here she was interrupted again. Mr. Bennet protested against any description of finery. She was therefore obliged to seek another branch of the subject, and related with much bitterness of spirit, and some exaggeration, the shocking rudeness of Mr. Darcy. But I can assure you, she added, that Lizzie does not lose much by not suiting his fancy, for he is a most disagreeable, horrid man, not at all worth pleasing, so high and so conceited that there is no enduring him. He walked here and he walked there, fancying himself so great, not handsome enough to dance with. I wish you had been there, my dear, to have given him one of your set-downs. I quite detest the man.
Hello again. Thank you so much for watching this latest installment of P&P The Real Story. A big special thank you to Claire Ayoub. It was so much fun having you, and I can't wait to have you back on the show again. Get excited, because Claire is coming back soon. Yay! If you loved Claire as much as I do, which would be hard to do, be sure to check her out. Her information is in the info/comment section below. Well, it's not really in the comment section. Anyway, neither here nor there. Stay tuned. Up next is episode 4, also known as chapter 4 of Jane Austen's P&P, in which we get to hear Jane's thoughts on the Meryton Assembly. Be sure to check out the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, the episode that most closely aligns with this episode of P&P The Real Story. Is included in a link below, and on our previous video, that Lizzie Bennet Diary episode is also there as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to like and share, and follow us on your favorite social media outlets. Our information is over yonder. Hope to see you back soon, and thanks again.